Chapter 3: Road Rules. By the time the sun finally surrendered to the horizon, Riley felt like she'd been awake for days. The desert softened at dusk. The harsh yellows and whites of the Nevada afternoon melted into bruised purples and deep rusts, the mountains turning into dark silhouettes that looked less like shelter and more like something watching. The Jeep's headlights cut twin tunnels through the growing dark, illuminating nothing but asphalt and the occasional reflective eye of a road sign warning about cattle crossings or sudden curves that never seemed to come. Riley rolled her shoulders, trying to shake off the tight knot lodged between them. Her body knew tension before her mind admitted it. Every instant she'd sharpened over years of investigating cold cases was buzzing, alert in a way that felt almost painful. The hitchhiker sat beside her, quiet again. Jax Reed. The name still felt strange in her head, like a placeholder rather than a real identity. He'd been talkative earlier, sharp, dry humor, opinions about music, jabs that landed just close enough to feel intentional. But since she'd caught sight of that newspaper clipping, something had shifted, or maybe it was her perception that had changed. She kept her eyes on the road, hand steady on the wheel, but her thoughts were a mess. Local teen vanishes after party. Emily Voss. That clipping wasn't something you casually carried around, not unless the case meant something to you. And the way Jax had gone quiet earlier, the way his jaw had tightened when she mentioned Montana, the way he deflected every personal question like a seasoned interview subject, none of it sat right. Riley didn't like coincidences. She cleared her throat. "All right," she said, breaking the silence. "We should probably set some ground rules." Jax turned his head slightly, studying her profile. The glow from the dashboard lights cast soft shadows across his face, emphasizing the scar above his eyebrow. "Road rules?" he asked. "Didn't know this was that kind of trip." "It is now," she replied. "We're stuck in a moving tin can together for who knows how long. Better to establish expectations before one of us snaps." A corner of his mouth lifted. "Are you always this bossy, or is it a special occasion?" She shot him a look. "Rule number 1, I drive. No commentary on my speed, my lane changes, or my questionable life choices." Damn, there goes half my personality. Rule number 2, no disappearing acts. If you need to stop, pee, eat, sleep, say it. I don't like surprises. His expression flickered just for a second. Fair. Rule number 3, she continued, tapping the steering wheel. If you're going to ride with me to Montana, you help cover gas and food. I'm broke, not charitable. He nodded without hesitation. Done. I've got cash. That surprised her. He didn't look offended. If anything, he looked relieved, like she'd given him something solid to agree to. And rule number 4, she added, her voice deliberately light, no lies that put me in danger. Jax went still. The Jeep hummed along the highway, tires whispering against the asphalt. Outside, the desert stretched endlessly, empty and indifferent. "Depends what you consider a lie," he said carefully. Riley glanced at him, really looked this time. His posture was relaxed, but there was a tension beneath it, like a coiled wire. "I consider omissions lies," she said. "Half-truths, too." He exhaled slowly. "Then I guess we're both screwed. Everyone omits something." She held his gaze for a beat longer than necessary, then turned back to the road. "Just don't omit anything that could get me hurt. Same goes for you. You might be the one with the murder podcast, but you're not exactly predictable." That earned him a small, reluctant smile. Touché. They drove in silence for a while after that, the kind that wasn't awkward but wasn't comfortable either. Riley's mind replayed the last few hours on a loop, the way she'd pulled over without thinking, the way she'd unlocked the door, the way she'd let a stranger into her story without even realizing it. She hated that part of herself, the impulsive part, the part that chased answers even when every warning sign was flashing red. Her phone buzzed on the dashboard. She flinched, then glanced down. One bar of service blinked into existence, fragile as a promise. Lena. She tapped the speaker. Hey? Oh, thank God! Lena's voice burst through, crackling slightly. I was about to call the Nevada Highway Police and report you missing. I'm alive, still driving, still alone? Riley hesitated. Jax's eyes flicked toward the phone, his expression unreadable. Not exactly, she said carefully. Picked up a hitchhiker. There was a long pause. Then, Riley Harper, you absolute menace! He's fine, normal, mostly. Mostly? Lena's voice rose an octave. You literally make content about why people should not do that. I know, but he's heading north. It made sense. Does it? Because from where I'm sitting, that sounds like how Dateline episodes start. Riley sighed. I'll call you tomorrow, okay? I promise. You better, Lena said, and if he turns out to be a serial killer, I'm haunting you. Riley smiled faintly. Deal. She hung up and set the phone back in its mount. Jax raised an eyebrow. Let me guess. Concerned friend? Something like that. She doesn't trust me. She doesn't trust anyone who isn't me, including me. He huffed a quiet laugh. Smart woman. They crossed into Utah just as full darkness settled in. The welcome sign flashed past, reflective letters glowing briefly before disappearing into the rearview mirror. Riley's stomach growled, loudly. Jax smirked. Rule number 2, sounds like a food stop. Yeah, she admitted, there should be a diner up ahead, or a truck stop. I'm not picky. They exited the highway 10 minutes later, pulling into a lonely stretch of asphalt lit by a handful of buzzing floodlights. A diner squatted near the road, all chrome and neon, like it had been dropped there decades ago and forgotten. The sign flickered. Open 24 hours, though one of the letters blinked intermittently, threatening to give up entirely. Riley parked the Jeep and killed the engine. The sudden quiet felt heavy. Inside, the diner smelled like grease, coffee, and nostalgia. Vinyl booths lined the walls, cracked from years of use. A jukebox glowed softly in the corner, playing something slow and sad. They slid into a booth near the window. A waitress with tired eyes and silver hair approached, coffee pot in hand. What'll it be? Coffee, Riley said immediately, and whatever passes for fries here. Jax ordered a burger and another coffee, black. As soon as the waitress walked away, Riley pulled out her phone and hit record. Jax noticed instantly. You recording me now? Voice notes, she said. Habit. For what? She met his gaze. For remembering. That answer seemed to satisfy him, or at least he didn't push. They ate in relative silence at first. Riley's fries were limp and oversalted, but she devoured them anyway. Hunger made everything sharper, her thoughts, her suspicions, her awareness of the man sitting across from her. Up close, under fluorescent light, Jax looked different, less like a drifter, more like someone who'd once belonged somewhere. His hands were rough, knuckles scarred, nails clean but worn. A mechanic's hands, she thought, someone who fixed things instead of breaking them. So, she said finally, wiping her mouth with a napkin, Willow Creek. He stiffened. I didn't say anything, he pointed out. You didn't have to. She leaned back in the booth. You reacted earlier. When I mentioned Montana, you went quiet. Maybe I just don't like talking about funerals. Maybe, she allowed, but you also don't like talking about where you grew up. His jaw tightened. You're fishing. I investigate, she corrected. Big difference. Same instinct, he shot back. The waitress returned, refilling their coffee. The steam curled between them like a living thing. When she walked away, Jax sighed. I grew up near Willow Creek, he said. Happy? Riley's pulse jumped, but she kept her face neutral. Why didn't you say that earlier? Because people get weird when you tell them you're from a small town. They start asking questions, assuming things. That's because small towns are excellent at hiding secrets. His eyes flicked to hers. You speaking from experience? She thought of Mia, the beach town, the whispers, the unanswered questions. Yeah, she said quietly, I am. The tension between them thickened, stretching taut. "Why are you really going there?" Jax asked. Riley considered lying. Instead, she reached into her bag and pulled out Emily's flyer, smoothing it onto the table between their coffee cups. "This," she said. "I'm chasing a cold case." Jax stared at the paper. For a long time, his face didn't change, but something in his eyes did, like a door closing. "You shouldn't," he said. "Why?" "Because some things don't end the way you want them to." Riley leaned forward. "You know her." It wasn't a question. Jax's fingers curled slowly into a fist. "I know of her. That clipping in your bag says otherwise." Silence slammed down between them. The jukebox clicked, switching songs. Outside, a truck roared past on the highway, its headlights streaking briefly across the window. Jax laughed softly, without humor. "You went through my things?" I glanced, and it confirmed my gut. "You have a habit of digging where you're not invited. It's literally my job." He looked at her then, really looked, and she felt exposed in a way she hadn't in years. "You think this is a story," he said, "an arc, a mystery with a neat ending. And you think it isn't." "I know it isn't." Riley's voice softened, despite herself. "Then help me understand why." He shook his head. "Not here, not now." She held his gaze, measuring him, weighing risk against instinct. Finally, she slid the flyer back into her bag. "Fine," she said, "but if you're riding with me, you don't get to pretend this isn't happening." He nodded once. "Fair." They paid and left the diner together, the night air cool against their skin. As Riley slid back into the driver's seat and started the engine, she felt the shape of the journey changing. This wasn't just a road trip anymore. It was a collision, and neither of them was walking away unscathed.